So, I was just chilling, watching a famous star sing a song. He has very dark hair, and whilst aimlessly enjoying the tune, my mind suddenly piped up with, I bet at his age his pubes are probably turning a bit grey. Not an avalanche, just the occasional strand, nestled into the dark bits. I mean, what the fuck? Do you know how many times I've had to say to my brain, "Oi, do shut up there. Just stop it. I mean, stop it." It says much worse stuff than that. Shocking. That's fairly tame. It's sometimes funny stuff or things so outrageous that you suddenly find yourself cackling out loud and look madder than normal. It's just part of the whole smorgasbord of OCD offerings. It's the part that produces intrusive, often disturbing thought. I call it Tourette's of the mind. Unlike a lot of octors, OCDers, I don't get the kill your grandma thoughts or the deviant hypersexual ones. As is the way of life, I can't remember any examples to give you except the one that I've already said, because it literally happened a couple of days ago. All I know is that they are generally outrageous enough for me to verbally tell my brain to knock it off, as it's wildly inappropriate. And then there's the horrible, compulsive video player that plays on a loop in the mind, like when I saw, and you might want to close your ears for this bit if you're an animal lover, maybe fast forward a bit. When I saw an Asian woman, she has this dog on a large plastic sheet on the floor, and was cutting his limbs off one by one with the bluntest fucking saw ever. This bitch from Satan's arse was hacking away while the blessed thing was alive and watching this thing happening to himself, howling and screaming. That stayed with me for months, playing in my head like a projector that can't be turned off. You keep shaking your head to get it out, but it just replays and replays. I risk triggering it again by mentioning it, but I hope, the distance from when I first saw it has removed the repetition. Plus, I've run into plenty of other nasty images to replace it, and I think that eventually weakens the original loop playback. Anyway, the things that my wayward mind comes up with, I remember my doctor saying, "So, what kind of things does your brain fixate on?" And I said, "Never mind." And he said, "No, go ahead, you can tell me." And I said, "See, you're wrong there. I can't. I'm not granting him access to my head so that he can rummage in there for his curiosity. I'm not letting him in there. Jeez, he'd be the one needing therapy after. It's the Wild West in there." He wasn't one of my multitude of psychiatrists anyway. He was my GP, so he couldn't have fixed me if he tried. OCD has many variants, and it's not just hand washing or being tidy, although it can include those issues solely or as part of a group of nutty things that you're compelled to do. And it can also reduce your life to almost nothing by refusing to allow you to do everyday things. I've wanted to try YouTube for probably a decade or more, and I was not permitted. It sounds crazy, but that's the grip it has, and I maybe at some point can try and explain it. A lot of the things I do are normal to me, even if extremely tiresome and arduous. They are still normal and have been ingrained into my behaviour over time, So in order to give a glimpse of that life, without giving a glimpse of that life, because that's another thing I'm not permitted to do, I really have to think carefully about what an outside observer might find strange. So, off the cuff, well, I'm sitting at a desk with a drink covered in a cellophane bag. Oh, but why, do you ask? Or why, you may ask? Well, in case somebody sneezes. Isn't it obvious? And mind you, that person could be next door sneezing, or 2 houses down sneezing, and the protective layer cover would still have to exist. I'm so used to covering my food and drink that I reach for my plate or drink automatically to check when someone sneezes on the television. What else can I give you quickly? The chair I'm sitting on is the only chair in the world that I'm allowed to sit on. In a 3-story house full of stools, sofas and chairs, I now cannot sit on any of them. Actually, that's not strictly true. There is a sofa and a chair in the room that I'm in, and those are the only chairs I can sit on. It's an odd thing to admit. Oh yes, I gave up outside chair sitting some time ago. Chair sitting is so last decade. I remember reading about a young man whose life was desperately reduced to the sofa in his room, so he ended it. And strangely enough, both his parents had OCD at crazy levels, and I remember watching them entering their home that had a sort of invisible exclusion zone, like the airlock chamber on a spaceship, where all outside clothing had to be removed and could never cross the unseen boundary into the rest of the house. And I was nodding in recognition of this insane theatre of a life that we're compelled to live. I wonder how they're doing today.